Well, just a quick review. I think there's basically, one thing to talk about from the last game. When we did things correctly, we had a tremendous amount of success. And I hope what we learned is when we didn't do things correctly, we had some negative consequences. And I think the lesson to be learned is you need to elevate, your intensity, preparation, practice habits, so that you get it right, so you have a better chance to focus and feel comfortable and confident that you get it right in the games. And I think as you play better teams, those consequences sort of get magnified a little bit more, and the emphasis to do things correctly becomes even greater. So, that's going to be the focus and point of emphasis with our team internally in terms of what we need to do. We had some guys that played really well in the game offensively. Brad Smelly, Trent Richardson, Eddie Lacy were the offensive players of the week. Mark Barron, Dante, Courtney, and Robert Lester on the defensive side, and Will Lowry and Darrell Harris on special teams. So, we got a couple guys that probably maybe a little slow or limited in practice today. Robert Lester would be one of those guys. D. Milner is sick today. He's not hurt, he's sick. So I'm not sure whether we'll let him out to practice or they'll keep him away from everybody else. We got a couple other guys that, are probably a little limited today, but we expect everybody to be full strength and ready to go tomorrow for sure. Arkansas has a really good, football team. Bobby has done a great job there each and every year. They have made, improvement, as a team and in terms of their total team. And this year, I think in all phases, they may be the best team that they've been when you take everything into consideration. They're a really good offensive team. They're very productive. He's a great offensive coach, and quarterback has played well for him. They probably have the best 4 wide receivers. I haven't seen all the wide receivers in the country, so it wouldn't be fair for me to say the best group in the country, but I guess I would like to see the group that's better than these 4 guys, even to match, their previous performance in production in terms of what they've been able to do for their team. And they've created balance in their offense. They could run the ball a lot better last year, and they've continued to be able to do that this year. And their defense is improved each and every year since they've been there, and I think this is the best defensive team, they've probably had. They've got like 7 starters back, and they're one of the top 20 teams in the country in scoring defense, so they made a lot of improvements, and they're really a good special teams. Very, very, very good on special teams. They've had 3 kick returns for touchdowns. We've got a really good punt returner in Adams, and a really good kickoff return guy, and 1 kickoff return for a touchdown and 2 punts for touchdowns. So they're very, very explosive because of the skilled players that they have at all positions, but this now shows up on special teams, and they're very good and certainly a challenge for us on special teams as well.
I was going to ask, what's the most important thing that you've learned about your team after 3 days or 3 games?
Just what I said. When we do things right, we're pretty good. When we don't do them right, we're not very good, and we have negative consequences.
As far as just like the
if
mindset.
we get things right more often, then we'll have a better chance to be successful. So that's the biggest thing I've learned about them.
As far as the mindset and their personality and.
Excuse me?
As far as their mindset and personality.
That is the personality. Have a better focus to get it right. That's it. That's the person. That's everything.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's what I think it is. You think it's something else, tell me, and then you can write that. I'll just repeat after you.
Oh, that's all.
Okay?
Thanks.
Yeah.
Coach, you had mentioned in the past that Petrino is one of those guys that's kind of, the way his offenses are run, it's one of the tougher ones to prepare for. As a defensive staff, is it fun going as a challenge going up against a guy like that?
Well, it's certainly a challenge. They're probably as good a passing team as there is in the country, and certainly have the right kind of players to do it. They're very well coached. They have a very good system and scheme. And each and every year, this is a very challenging game for the defense. How are you going to affect the quarterback? How are you going to pressure the quarterback? How are you going to cover their guys? This is a lot like pro football. This is what you get ready for every week, because that's how most of those teams are built. And this is certainly a pro-style offense, and they have some very good players, and they do a really good job. And they want to start fast, and they're going to challenge you vertically down the field as well as get everybody running and send somebody across and hit them on the run. And every mistake that you make in pass defense, you have a little bit of an issue with in terms of getting them covered.
Coach, you've mentioned before that one of the reasons you like the nickel defense is because it's flexible against different formations and personnel groups. Could you explain that a little bit?
Well, when you play regular defense and you only have 4 defensive backs, and when you play a 3-4 and you're symmetrical, you don't have problems in adjustment. All right, but as soon as you try to play, over and under, you either got to slide backers out on spread out formations, or you got to walk somebody out because you only have 4 defensive backs. Well, when you play nickel, you already got a guy built into, that's how he makes his living, being walked out on somebody and covering somebody outside the formation. So you don't put a player who's not used to being in that position, in that position. And I guess it's easier to make adjustments because you got 5 guys in the game instead of 4. So you can have defensive backs on both edges, so no matter what they do, you're set. And now when they get in tight formations with a whole bunch of guys in the backfield, then you have a harder time getting in 8-man fronts. But that usually doesn't happen, when they have 3 receivers in the game.
Coach, Robert Lester and Dre Kirkpatrick were still kind of new starters going into last year's game, and both had some big plays. How much does that do for a player's confidence to have a couple interceptions and keep constant?
Well, I don't know that. I think the experience of playing last year and making plays last year and learning from not only the plays that they made but the mistakes that they made to help them develop as very good consistent players is probably what impacts their confidence and ability to perform more effectively in the game. So I think it's probably a combination of all those things that contribute in a positive way to a player's development.
Okay, the follow-up was how much has that secondary as a whole kind of grown up and matured from the way they played early last year to the way they're playing now?
Well, we made a lot of mistakes up there last year, especially early in the game, and didn't adjust the formations right, busted a long touchdown. We didn't have anybody dropping the flat, which was a linebacker. It wasn't just a secondary. But there's a little more consistency, a little more knowledge and experience. I think a little more ability to adapt, to circumstances and situations. I think when you play somebody like Arkansas, they do a lot of different things. They do a lot of the same things out of a lot of different things. Conceptually, they're the same things. All right, but it's typical NFL style that they're going to do it some kind of way different that you didn't practice it, so that a different player has to do that. Well, last year at this time, we weren't very adaptable relative to the knowledge and experience that we had. I think we have a little better knowledge and experience, and I hope we'll make better adjustments in this game and not make those kind of mental mistakes.
Barrett Jones played at right tackle a little bit on Saturday. How did he do, and was that the result of maybe trying him out as a backup option if Ari Kwanjo continues to have injury issues?
Well, the purpose is, when we do stuff, is nobody did anything bad. Okay, it doesn't have to be a result of a negative. It was an opportunity that we wanted to take advantage of to get a guy that we think is very athletic, who needs development, which is Cyrus, to be able to play left tackle. and Barrett's kind of the swing tackle. So that kind of gave us the opportunity to have him play a little bit on the right side. So it was really about, if something happened and we lost an offensive lineman, how would we get our best 5 guys back on the field? And so we're trying to develop a guy that we think can be one of those 5 guys sometime in the future. And, you know, so he played 40-some plays in the game, which is good for his development. I think sometimes, you know, you only learn so much in practice. You have to take it to the game. And, you know, we were happy to get him to play that much, and I'm sure he'll learn and improve because of it.
Will Lowry was one of the top tacklers in the game. How did he do in terms of what he's supposed to be doing on the field?
Well, he does a great job on special teams, and he does a good job, you know, in the dime situations for us. And, you know, we got to play a lot of guys in the secondary, you know, last week too. And we have some good young players that continue to develop, but Will Lowry's a staple for us and has done a really good job. They'll all get tested this week.
Coach, you mentioned the red zone problems this past weekend. Can you talk about what those were, particularly after looking at the film, and how you address them going forward?
Well, the problem all goes back to the same thing. You know, you guys talk about all those 70-yard runs that we had and 50-yard runs. Those are the same plays that we had a 5-yard loss on. It wasn't like it was a new play. It was blocked correctly against the same defense. So it goes back to that same thing I said in the beginning. You know, we stopped ourselves in the red zone by not executing what we were supposed to do. So it's not a systematic problem. It was a lack of execution problem in terms of what we did, and we have to correct that so that we execute better. All right? So I know that's hard for everybody to kind of understand. It's just too simple, and certainly too simple to make a story about. All right? But it is what it is. I can't make it something that it isn't. Block the right guys, works out right. And just like my wife, why did you run that play? Why didn't you run another play? Well, it's what she says, because it didn't work. Should have run a different play. Well, how about if we'd have just run that play right? Because when we ran it right, we made 50 yards. So then she don't have anything to say about that. But
Coach, could you talk first about having Darius Hanks back, what impact that had, and second, how the receivers are coming along, particularly Christian Jones, but any of the receivers?
Right. Well, having Darius Hanks back, even though he caught a couple balls in the game, I think his blocking, his experience, doing the right thing. I had a couple other opportunities that we just missed him on. I mean, where he was open and we didn't quite get the ball to him. We threw it to him a couple times that he was open and didn't quite make the kind of throws that we need to make. But I think his knowledge and experience and confidence really is, you know, helpful to the entire group. You know, Christian Jones has been a guy that has progressed since the beginning of camp, and we want to continue to use him and hope that he continues to develop. He does have speed. He is good with the ball in his hand, and you know, we obviously, you know, need to continue to improve. I've been pleased with Kenny Bell's sort of improvement and development. DeAndre White has gotten a little better each game. So as a group, you know, I think we're making progress.
Coach, you mentioned intensity a while ago. Dre Kirkpatrick said after Saturday's game that Coach will be all crunked up this week. Do you find yourself more crunked up than usual during weeks like this?
You know, what the players don't understand, they really don't understand, is I usually raise more cane on weeks like last week because the players will be all crumped up this week. Is that the right terminology? I'm not sure I'm up with the hip-hop term, but so it'll be less important for me to be. But last week, you know, it's like trying to get them in a dental chair. So that is when, you know, it's the most challenging. You know, this week we got a lot of teaching to do. Everybody will be interested in learning, and you know, we got to be able to go out there and execute it when, you know, the time comes on Saturday, and that's going to happen by having good practice and good intensity. And I probably won't lack for it. Just, I won't have a lack of intensity. I don't want you to think that. So at least I know what they're expecting.
Arkansas has been starting a true freshman at left tackle, that on paper that would seem like something your defense could exploit. Does he look like a very impressive young player?
Well, they have, I think, 3 new starters in the offensive line. They're all very capable guys. They have 2 new starters at tackle, and I think both guys are capable guys. And we have to do a better job of rushing and challenging, you know, their front people so that we can affect the passing game, not just with how we cover, but how we disguise, how we pressure, how we can rush with 4 guys. I mean, I think all those things are really, really important. How many yards have they thrown for? However many yards they've thrown for, both those guys have been playing tackle, so they must be doing something right.
And do you have any Duron Carter updates today?
At this point, we have not received the information that we need to receive, and unless something happens that we do receive that, I don't know that there's another option for us at this point, but there could be.
Through 3 games, how would you evaluate your pass rush?
Well, I don't. I tell you what I think. I think we'll see this week. You know, I think sometimes when you play, like most of the plays that we had in the first game and the last game, the ball came out of the quarterback's hand so fast. We had guys running free in the A gap, and they couldn't sack him because he was going to get rid of it. He wasn't going to get sacked. And they weren't running any vertical patterns down the field that took much time to develop where the rushers really had a chance. And when you face a lot of quick game, I don't think you're going to get a lot of, you know, quarterback hits and quarterback pressures. You know, in the Penn State game where they threw the ball down the field, we got a little more pressure on the quarterback, even though we didn't get the sacks. But again, sacks are not something that is a critical statistic in winning. I think pressing the pocket and pressuring the quarterback is. But it's something that we definitely need to improve on, especially for the game that we have this week.
You mentioned Cyrus did get to play a pretty good bit. Tell me how he's doing. Where's he better, and what still needs to come?
Well, you know, Cyrus is really doing a good job for us, and he's certainly made a tremendous amount of progress and improvement. And I don't think there's a lot of doubt that he's athletic and you know, is going to be a very, very good player at that position. We just want to continue to enhance his development so that he feels comfortable and confident in knowing what he's supposed to do so he can play, you know, sort of without apprehension and be sure about what he's supposed to do, because the closer you play to the ball, the faster stuff happens. So if you're a little bit, I'm not sure whether I should step this way and block this guy or I got that guy, you got no chance. All right, so it doesn't make any difference how athletic you are. And, you know, he did much better in this game than the first game, and we're just, you know, keep developing him and help him to improve. But we have every confidence in him that if he has to play, he can play well.
Coach, will you comment on the Arkansas defense and the improvement they made the last couple of years? Bigger, physical, faster than they were when Petrino got
Right. Well, you know, they've been playing with a lot of the same guys for 2 or 3 years now, and you know, those guys get a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger, a little bit more experienced. They've also sort of, you know, developed their scheme and package a little bit, probably with the more experienced players being able to handle it, manage it, where, you know, they kind of do more things now. They have a 5-down look where they, you know, 91 sort of does what 30 does for us sometimes, and, you know, creating 5 down, 4 down. Got an odd package now. They play a lot more split safety coverages. So they really have, as their personnel has developed and experienced and gained experience, they've kind of expanded what they do, which, you know, creates more problems. But the players that they have and how they play hard and do a good job of pressuring. You know, Jericho Nelson's all over the place. That guy makes all kind of plays, and it seems like he's been there for as long as I've been here. But he's a very, very good player.
I don't know if you probably didn't see it on the film, but Coach Petrino got all crunked up on his quarterback last week when he made a mistake. I guess he's the same kind of perfectionist with quarterbacks you are with the DBs. What do you see from a Petrino-coached quarterback that he common?
Well, just about every guy he's ever coached or had as a quarterback has been very productive. And I think, you know, part of that is they play with good fundamentals. They've got a really good system, and they have the discipline to execute and play within the system and believe that playing within the system is going to help them make plays. And that has been certainly the case every quarterback that I know that he's coached in college, for sure. So, and I think the same thing's, you know, happening right now.